Material Components, Season 2, Episode 94, Dirty Deeds. Greetings and welcome to Material Components, the actual play RPG show all about a galaxy of magic and the adventurers who live there, brought to you by the Punch Up Entertainment Network. I am your humble Dragon Master, Mike Gargoni, and joining me, as always, are my stalwart adventurers. Hey adventurers, thanks for being here.
You're welcome.
Heck yeah.
Hello!
It's us, Mario and Mrs. Doubtfire, apparently. But actually...
That's a team up I'd watch.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But actually, it's me, Olivia, and I'm playing Florian of Aquilar.
Oh dear, it's me, Elliot, and I'm playing Shay, the Elven Wizard. Actually, I shouldn't do that, because I will forget my own character voice, and I will just do a very bad Mrs. Doubtfire impression the whole time.
I suppose that I am Michael Lissman, and I am playing Oswald, Octavian Theophilus the Third for now.
Well, for now, I am Reed, and I'll be playing Amari.
Indeed. And of course, before we begin today's session, I have to ask the same question I ask every time, and that is, Reed, do you remember what happened last time?
Oh yeah, you betcha. So, last time, because we all remember it very well, last time we avoided narrowly the kidnapping of Shay and made our way back to the Tiresian. Where we got to meet up with our good friend Mr. Zinn, who I had avoided his call. I saw it and just ignored it. But Mr. Zinn is now here to enjoy breakfast with the troupe. We all sat down. Florian and Oswald returned after being left out to drink the rest of their night away. Florian, not dealing with much of a hangover, but Oswald is on other levels of hungover right now. During our breakfast, Mr. Zinn talked with Shay about their clan and the fact that they are now seeming to be the level of an astral wizard, something very powerful and something very sought after, given they don't belong to any specific power. Hopefully, the first astral wizard of Pride Rakasa. Well, the offer's out there. Maybe just snatch it up. Be great for everyone. Be great for me. But yeah, and then we really dived into the dark social morass that is Oswald's family life, and it becoming an eventual intervention of sorts, which didn't go particularly well. Oswald is very entrenched in that.
I think it could have gone worse.
It could have gone worse.
I mean, he could have snapped and tried to kill all of us, so, yeah.
Yeah, how dare you besmirch my wonderful father. How dare you.
Yeah.
Has Oswald ever, called his father, wonderful? Or is it always in the context of, he's very productive, he is efficient, he is cunning and ruthless, and... Okay,
That sounds
Yeah.
That sounds more like it.
Yeah.
He's very matter of fact about Septimus. It's less I like him for doing this and more this is the way that things are, so he is correct.
Yeah. He told me that he's correct, so therefore he must be correct. But yeah, after we finished our breakfast, an absolute boatload of stim was consumed trying to get Oswald out of his hangover to some effect. And then we ended the session specifically with our good friend Vesnus taking a trip to Florian's room, stating, "Wouldn't it be easier to kill Oswald's dad?" or something along those specific lines. It might be. She might be right.
Yeah. Vesnus Rosek, your Cogrish companion, just putting it down on that table, just like, hey, wouldn't everyone's life be so much better if Septimus was dead? And specifically coming to Florian with that suggestion, and who's to say, whether or not Florian is receptive to that idea. In fact, I think it is up to Olivia to say, because I think that is where we find ourselves now as we come to in the early afternoon here on the Tiresian on the planet of Vanakel, Oswald's homeworld.
Oh, Mike, I straight up thought you were gonna say, I guess it's up to all of us to find out when the actual day of the Samba Surprise release happens.
You know what? You're right. That's more interesting. Nope, we're skipping over this conversation.
Oh my god.
Olivia, you're absolutely correct.
Oh, wow. I can't wait to be Samba surprised.
It's going to be
the scene.
It's going to be a surprise for everyone.
The scene opens with just a reaction shot of Florian, and then we just cut away.
Yeah. Oh, it's like the last scene of the episode, is replayed, and then it just moves on. Yeah.
I think now would actually be a good time to zoom out a little bit, both metaphorically and literally, because you all find yourselves here on Vanakel with no immediate need for movement or reaction. There are lots of plates spinning in terms of stuff that is happening in the near future. We have an elvish clan looking to come and re-kidnap Shay back into the fold. We have a bunch of wizards descending on the planet looking to solve that particular problem, or at least be involved in that problem. They might not actually solve the problem.
Be involved in that problem. So
they just want to write their name on the project when it gets handed in. Cool.
We have the rogue element that is Andoni of...
oh my god, I forgot about Andoni.
Somewhere in this mix. We have the upcoming party for Samba Surprise. We have the ongoing political situation with Pride Rakasa and their ascendant nature as both an active foe of the Empire and a rising power within the Raset hegemony. Plus the whole possible plan for murder. Who's to say? But you have a little around a month and a half to address some of these issues. So without anything like really pressing in the moment to moment, though, I do want to sort of zoom out and wonder and ask about what are the long-term projects or goals that the crew of the Tiresian, and now with the help of Mr. Zinn, are going to try to lay out in their time on Vanakel. Because, like I said, nobody is actively trying to kill you in the moment. There is still the whole issue of bounty hunters being hired by Aegis Tech Solutions as well, on top of all that.
That's just a Tuesday.
As of right now, you are using false identities to lay low on Vanakel. You are walking around as Freehold's nationals at the moment. People from the smaller, individualistic democracies that are kind of littered throughout the border of the Canis Empire that still do business here on Vanakel and Vorpal Corp at large. So, yeah, crew of the Tiresian, Mr. Zinn, what are there any immediate concerns you want to alleviate here in the 18th of Waithius, or are there some long-term projects you would like to get going and maybe angle towards events that you can place on your calendar, whether it be meeting with wizards, confronting corporate espionage, or anything in between?
I would definitely like to, because I think we briefly talked last time about reconnecting with Halcyon on the Storm's Repose to kind of get a better idea of the trajectory and timing of some of the wizards that are coming. If anybody is going to be here in person, and yeah, because I think the consensus was I don't want to meet with the people who are trying to kidnap me. I would like to talk to the people who are on my side, and trying to organize an actual date for that.
Okay. And as we've established, there is quite a few wizards on the way. And is this a situation where you want to only meet with the ones that you already know person to person, or are you trying to set up meetings with everybody?
No, specifically, like, because when I had my chat with Halcyon earlier, it was like some of them are coming to, like, to advocate for me. So I would like to just get an idea of those wizards' timeline, their ETA, I guess. Again, because I know that, like, they can just pop in subconsciously, but it seemed like there might be some who were actually physically coming to Vanakel, so I wanted to try to coordinate that as well.
Okay. And there was some talk of trying to set up a congregational meeting of sorts between them as well?
Yes.
Is that something you were still angling towards?
Yes.
Okay. Whenabouts do you think you want to try to schedule that?
I want to get...
And if anyone else in the group wants to input on this, they're free to, obviously.
I mean, pre-Samba Surprise would be amazing.
Okay.
And, like, you know, I'd like to get an idea. I guess, first of all, I want to confirm, are there wizards that are coming physically here that are not my clan?
Yes.
Okay. I would love to coordinate around their arrival.
Okay. You are also made aware through contact with Halcyon that, and this is second, third-hand information that she's gathering from her contacts, is that the arrival of Clan Delestinus on Vanakel is going to line up to the beginning of Primian. They apparently are working some kind of job for the Empire. You don't exactly know what your clan has been up to in the last 20-odd years, but they are doing something for the Empire that is going to take up their time for the next month, and they will arrive shortly before the Samba Surprise party.
While not what I want to do as, like, my whole thing, I do want to get in contact with Layla to hopefully get something in full-blown writing to, like, outline what sort of offer is being made from Pride Rakasa for Shay as like, this is what's on board. You know, this is what we're offering.
Zen, like, we don't do, like, a hand-raising thing here. It's just sort of like, you wait for a lull in the conversation so that it's not, like, interrupting people. You just, like, go for
No,
it.
I like the hand thing. The hand thing's nice. I appreciate that.
I don't think we can keep the whole team to a hand-raising
We
rule.
actually tried, remember? We tried, and it didn't work, because Oswald, you know.
Yeah.
What?
Oswald's been asleep on the table this time.
Fair enough. On the subject of Layla and Pride Rakasa, Mr. Zinn would want to have a slight, at least a little bit of an informational conversation with Amari in regards to what information has been shared across the board so that people are aware of things.
That's good. No. That makes sense.
Yeah. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know... Actually, that wasn't the right start. But, I don't know I don't know that we know what Layla knows.
A horrible sentence.
I don't... Reed doesn't remember what Amari knows that Layla knows.
She
yeah,
did
this conversation
try to figure out the nature of who was hiring us. I believe that she interrogated Oswald about it, and he did a good old-fashioned bold-faced lie.
That's cool.
See, she seems to be very distrustful of the Archproctor.
Well, shadowy entity.
Putting
Oh, yeah, no,
her
no,
husband
she's
directly
right.
in the line of, like, oh,
She's
because
right
he
and
works
she
with
should
Sir
say it,
Fudge
but
shit.
Zinn should also know that.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that information is shared with Mr. Zinn, that Layla does not trust the Archproctor and was actively digging for that information?
I mean, it shouldn't surprise the Archproctor or Zinn at all. Probably one of many people attempting to dig up information.
And Reed, are you like honest about how honest you were with her? Okay.
Yeah.
And remind me how much she knows about Mara.
Definitely not mentioned.
No, you guys have definitely mentioned Mara and the whole thing. It's my take has always been whether or not she believes you.
Okay, that's right.
There was definitely the question was asked by Mike was, how much do you tell her? And I was like, I'd lay it all out.
Oh, okay, that's right.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure the only thing that Amari did not share with his wife was very specific details about the Archproctor, many of which Amari wouldn't actually have known.
How do you describe something you don't understand completely, right?
Right.
I'll maybe share information if I understand. Other than that, it's just
poetry? Is that how you described the indescribable?
No. Amari would not describe it as poetry. Just you, yeah.
Yeah, just Oswald.
I think poetry is rather apt, actually.
So good at it.
So yeah, Layla is in the know about Mara and the whole situation with Aegis Tech.
Gotcha.
She hasn't been spreading that information around, obviously.
That we know of.
It doesn't benefit us to do that, so.
I suppose the final question that Zinn would have for Amari on this particular front would be, do you want me to get in contact with her?
What would that do?
That's up to you.
I don't know if it would do any good.
Fair enough.
She doesn't particularly trust you or the Archproctor, and I feel like you reaching out would only serve to seem as though you are trying to put her fears aside and convince her of something she should probably be concerned about.
Well, if it comes up again, just let her know that that the offer stands. I am willing to answer what questions I am able to.
Yeah, she wouldn't like that.
She's like, what is the Archproctor? And Zinn's just like,
Yeah. I keep going back to, she gave Florian a knife and told him to kill himself with it. So, like,
You are a threat to my existence. She doesn't like you.
You might get a free knife out of it.
Hey, it's a good knife. It's a good knife.
Oh, yeah, I mean, as a wizard, I could really control all the Atheum in that.
So, you plan on organizing this Annoyance of Wizards who show up into some kind of meeting somewhere down the road. You have shared what details you have shared with Mr. Zinn so that he knows kind of where all the lines of information are now drawn. Mostly. Is there anything else anyone else is like starting to set up in this time? What wheels are being put into motion here?
If nobody has anything immediately, I do have something. So I think after this intervention, Oswald pretty flatly rejects, all of the evidence people are presenting as somebody who is indoctrinated into a specific way of thought often is. But he goes to his room and goes back to working on his presentation, trying to get the quotes just right, trying to get any photographs perfect, any video evidence as part of his presentation, but at a certain point finds himself just kind of staring at this thing that he's been making, and then he's going to think a little bit, and then he's going to ask if Mara is there. Mara?
I am always here, Oswald. There are very few places on the ship where you could go where I could not see you.
Oh, excellent. Should probably have that. we'll get into that later, but personal privacy and all that. Mara.
Yes, Oswald.
Do you think you could do a favor?
I would be happy to do any number of favors for you.
So, you've been exploring the networks upon Vanakel. How has that been going?
Fascinating. The number of new experiences I have generated while moving through the networks of the city of Wreath have been... Well, the number would require several exponents.
I was wondering if you could help me access information specific from a specific source.
Of course.
Could you help me get into my father's personal data cams, personal machines?
Assuming they are networked to a greater system, that should be no problem.
Right. Yes, that would be appreciated. And if you could focus on anything referring to me or anything referring to the Oswalds that are, well, to put it bluntly, no longer with us.
Absolutely.
And just to clarify, I need you to be careful. Remember,
I understand.
It is important to me that you are able to do this, but don't risk yourself for me, okay? Only do something if you know that you can do it.
I am completely aware of my capabilities, Oswald, and I feel as though this will be a task that I am fully capable of, but there is some amount of risk of exposure in rummaging through secure data channels, regardless of what I do.
That is true.
I can mitigate this risk to no end,
Well,
but I cannot guarantee complete and total safety.
just for me, make it as least likely for there to be any repercussions for you, if that makes sense. Other than not doing it, if that should clarify.
Do you wish me to proceed despite a low factor of risk?
Yes.
Very well. I am assuming your father is networked with the Vorpalcorp systems local to the city of Wreath.
That is correct, yes.
If you could give me a more permanent fixture of address where I might find his systems, that would be most appreciated. This place is large and loud. I am unaccustomed to moving through this much information.
Right. Mike, there's a couple of locations I can think of.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, I provide...
Like, you could point her towards his office, which has been the same for 50 years. You could point her towards his, mansion, which has been the same for over 100 years. Like,
the summer
you can
home,
point her towards...
yeah,
100%.
Yeah, all that stuff. Yeah, I provide that information.
Cool. Yeah, Mara would get to work on that. She will let you know when she has found something pertaining to the parameters you have set, which is information in regards to yourself within your father's files, or the number of your siblings who are currently deceased. That is what you're looking for, yes?
Yes, information about them. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, she gets to work on that. She lets you know that it might take a little time because, like you said, she's trying to do this as carefully as possible while mitigating as much risk as she can.
Excellent. So I guess that is sort of... I guess Mara's mostly doing the work there, but Oswald's goal is to look into that sort of stuff.
Okay. Coming away from your presentation, you are struck by how impressive some of this stuff is. I'll say that much. Because, you're putting something together that is, in your short time with the Cole Foundation over the last cycle, the stuff you're willing to show off is, deposing a warlord on an outer kingdom and stopping a terrorist group from setting off a chain reaction that would have destroyed all Aether in the galaxy, and, even the stuff that doesn't involve Mara or the Archproctor directly is still, wild guerrilla, what's the word I'm looking for? Documentarian kind of, footage and, stories that you're telling here. It's... Someday somebody will option these rights to make a wild movie starring Liam Hemsworth, but for now...
My least favorite Hemsworth!
He's the most bird-like of the Hemsworths. That's why I went with him.
It will originally, the first movie will actually star Henry Cavill, and then he will be replaced.
Yeah. The straight-to-video sequels will...
Yeah.
Just be lucky that it's not starring one of the lesser-known bald ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Tito.
Jesus Christ,
Tito
that's
Baldwin.
Oswald Octavian Theophilus III.
My God.
Tito Baldwin.
It's Jason Bird.
It's Jesus Christ, that's Jason Bird.
Don't you know who that is?
We bring you the finest jokes here on Material Components.
Artisanal, handcrafted.
Barrel-aged. Okay. Any other things kicking off? Anything else y'all are setting in motion?
Just as a, group project, because I don't think Florian would be heading this, though I would maybe be because I don't have anything imminent, I might be the, coordinator for this, is, we should still be going through the Hector Laricus info. Just, slowly working on that as we go.
That's a good
idea.
Yeah,
I know people are busy, but, we do need to find this guy.
We
and
have
also
so
Yeah.
many irons in the fire.
we need to have something for his sister, or else she's gonna be pissed at us.
Yeah.
Oh, Florian, I've got nothing going on. Don't even worry about it. I can help you with that.
Well, no, I mean, just if you do have some spare
I've
time.
got
I
free
know
time
you're
right now. Let's do it.
Are you
Chop
doing?
chop.
Are you
Why are
doing
you waiting
productive?
around? Let's
Is this
go.
a productive procrastination sort of thing?
I don't know what you're talking about. Let's do this thing.
All right, let's go.
I will say that is something else that you get figured out pretty quick, is you would get a communique from Cassandra Laricus, who would let you know that she will arrive near the end of next month. So she will arrive roughly around the 20th of Ateria, which is next month.
And that is a good while before the Samba Surprise.
13 days, 15 days beforehand. Because, she is really anxious to join the hunt for her brother.
Sure.
Listen, that tracks. That makes sense.
I mean, it doesn't, but that's all right.
Is she aware that she's going to have to sit around for about 2 weeks?
She does.
Okay.
Yeah, she does know.
But we've got a lot of data for her to go through to help with, so, she won't be...
She'll be busy.
Yeah.
To reiterate about the information you have from Hector Laricus, his dead drop system that you have, it is years and years and years worth of technical data regarding the creation of Project Chimera, and years and years worth of video diary entries regarding the ongoing progress of Project Chimera. And you've done a little bit of legwork in terms of going through that information, but by no means have you really put a dent in it. The big things you've started to look for where that is concerned were things regarding the Silvaro family, things regarding the Court of Air, and specifically things involving Mara's emergence as a sentient being. And last we checked in with this data, you had kind of put together that the man himself, Cromwell Silvaro, had sort of groomed Hector for this project in a way, and sort of not isolated him, but it's definitely clear that Hector at a certain point was answering only to Cromwell Silvaro.
I would also cross share this with Mr. Zinn and just this is what we're doing. Obviously I'm not going to make you data dive or go through files with us, but just so you have an update, and if Zinn has any ideas,
I mean, Zinn is happy to help. on any of these projects that you've got going, in between, paperwork.
Important things, yeah.
Paperwork and check in with other teams and meditating, all that. But, this is the nice thing about being a very old elven wizard. You don't need to sleep that much. So Zin's got plenty of time.
So yeah, what is Mr. Zin's reaction to, I think he is just learning about the whole Hector Loricus situation. The fact that this team has tracked down basically the architect of Project Chimera, outside of Cromwell Silvaro, who is the CEO of Aegis Tech. There's a scientist within that company, Hector Loricus, who is the architect of the project, and based on the findings that this team has uncovered, has a lot of misgivings about what this project's intended use was. Namely, due to the fact that they discovered a dead drop at a secret apartment that is like him caching all of this information that he's garnered over years of study and research that was supposed to go to his sister in the event of his death.
I think Zin's reaction would honestly be very impressed. Like, this is a very good find that you all have. Good congratulations all around on it. There's going to be something in here. So searching through this is of pretty high importance, I think. That would probably be his general reaction is impressed by what you've been able to accomplish. Zin would inquire whether Mara has interacted with any of this data at all.
Specifically, no.
Yeah, we've been trying to... I think our plan was to...
We want to go through it first.
That's completely understandable. I would also say that possibly a very efficient way to work through all of this would be to, in a closed network, dive with this. You can process information much more quickly in that way. So it's just, if nothing else, more efficient time-wise to go through the material.
That could be a potential, like, I know that, like, that is Shay's bag, so Shay might be the coordinator or leader for that, but that might be a potential, like, group project at some point, is, like, just get a couple people to dive in.
Let's do it right now. Why wait? Let's go. Chop chop.
Well, like, folks have other stuff going on, so maybe we just set up a time. We got
I don't. Let's go.
Oswald's free. We'll just mark Oswald on the project calendar. Florian's writing a big project calendar, and just like Oswald just has empty blank time.
Yes, that makes sense.
Okay. Is going through Hector's data trove in a more efficient, if maybe mentally dangerous fashion. Is that something you would want to do before or after your meeting with the wizards?
Well, that meeting sounds like it's a bit away still.
Yeah, possibly.
The clan arrival is a bit away. The figuring out like when enough wizards are going to be here to justify the gathering of the Annoyance, that could happen anytime after the beginning of next month. So within 12 days.
Yeah, I mean, the only other project that I have was framing Oswald's sibling for fraud and embezzlement. And I don't remember where we landed on where that was, so...
You've already been at that for over a week.
Yeah.
You pulled the trigger on that.
Mm-hmm.
So and certain individuals within the Red Cap community, I believe you decided to do this all on your own, correct? As opposed to like involving other Red Caps.
Yes. Trying to mitigate the risk of being uncovered.
Right. At this point, you're still in the process of creating the bona fides for the fake charity that he will be framed for stealing money from. So that's where we're at with that. I'm assuming that is an ongoing project that you are like spending a little bit of time on every day. And so like at this point, you probably have like a charitable foundation set up somewhere. Like it's on the books in certain galactic banking systems. Like obviously it's not
real. Actually, it has no real. Employees. There's no actual money in it. Like right. Any money that has been stolen, quote unquote, is not actually real.
But what you're doing on a day-to-day basis is creating a fake digital paper trail of this thing's existence and its accrued assets, that when those assets are inevitably ripped off, there is a clear trail of its disappearance.
Yeah. And then it's good that Cassandra's going to get here about like 12-ish days before Samba Surprise, because when she gets here, I want to work with her on dropping the story as in a time, like, she's the journalist, so she'll know, like, better about, like, the best time to, like, drop the story so that it has the most impact.
How is she going to feel about framing somebody for embezzlement? I guess.
Good question.
I guess convincing enough lie might work. Who knows?
You know that Cassandra Loricus is, if nothing else, fairly anti-corporate.
Yeah.
And while not like altogether an anarchist, she is definitely an anti-establishment voice within the Empire.
Yeah.
Her job is pointing out the hypocrisies and the issues that exist within the Empire as a whole. Now, she is still an Imperial citizen, so like she chooses to live within that system. So take what you will about that.
Everybody has to start somewhere.
Sure. All right.
The only other thing I guess that Zin would do, or really be trying to keep an eye on as far as the crew goes, is Vesnis.
Somebody's finally doing that, huh?
We just let
we have
Vesnis
a lot going on, okay?
Yes. Vesnis has got a lot going on.
She's fine.
Hasn't become a problem yet.
Yes.
That you've noticed.
That I've noticed.
Exactly.
Define problem.
Yeah.
All
if
right.
Anything,
so Mr. Zin
business provides solutions. Let's be real.
It's it's more about you know, I got this group here and they rescued Vesnis, but I don't know a lot about Vesnis.
Welcome to the club.
So Zin will take the time to be personable with Vesnis occasionally and ask questions, you know, have conversations, all that kind of stuff. Hide more obvious bugs in their room for them to find.
She does not warm up to Mr. Zin. I'll say that much.
Shocker.
Her attitude towards Mr. Zin is one of curt acceptance, I guess, would be the best way to put it. She is fine with you being there, but if you try to engage in conversation with her, she is very, like, clipped and careful and precise with any answer she gives to Mr. Zin. She seems to enjoy the bug hunt insofar as, like, for every 3 you plant, she will always find them, especially if they're more obvious. And, like, you will end up finding them, like, on your ship, crushed and, like, in a small jar every time. And there's no comment on it, ever, but it's always just like, oh, they will be found within a matter of, like, 24 hours and delivered back to you promptly.
Cool. Yeah, keep that up.
Okay. Over the course of the next few days, as you are all beginning these projects and coming to terms with sort of the long-term existence, longer than you've really had on any other planet in recent history, here on Vanakel, the the mood of this planet isn't really one I think any of you are used to. The kind of like hustle and bustle, New York-y vibe to this city you find yourselves in specifically on this planet. And this seems indicative of most of the culture on this world is just like, everyone's got their own business to do. Nobody's really got the time of day for you just in the middle of the street. And there is a lot of nightlife where people are trying to blow off steam of a crushing corporate existence that most of them find themselves in.
Florian tries to like ingratiate himself to like a cafe, like the workers at like a cafe, like around the corner or something, like, you know, goes to pick up lunch or whatever, and is there often enough that he's like, you know, tries to be friendly, and has the experience that I had in the JFK airport, which is they're like, hey, can you just fucking order and then leave us alone?
Yeah,
he's like,
the
sure. I'm sorry, ma'am. I'll let you get back to your business.
the employees at Vorpo Cup just want you to make your order and step aside.
God.
Vorpal Corp is undoubtedly the most intrusive presence in any life here on Vanakel in the city of Wreath. You just can't escape it. No matter where you look, there is something with the Vorpal Corp logo on it. There are other corporations that have enclaves here, but even when you're in like a corporate sector that is controlled by, say, like Womack and Sons or Zolkon Industries, there is unavoidably Vorpal Corp logos on like passing cabs or on the cups that people are drinking their stim from, or just like on fast food wrappers that you see in garbage. It's everywhere. It's not quite a company town. This isn't like Esclipsis where everything is owned, operated, and bought and sold by all the same company, but Vorpal Corp has done a profound job of just overwhelming civilization on this planet with its presence.
Far more insidious.
One could argue. You're also spending time, a long time, on the fringes of the Canis Empire. And so not only are you getting this kind of corporate culture that is coming down from Vorpal Corp, but you are also closer to the heart of Imperial culture than you've ever been for a long stretch of time. And it's something that I don't think any of you have really had to wrestle with except for maybe Amari. And Mr. Zinn would be aware of this as well.
I'm a citizen.
Is the state religion of the Canis Empire, the followers of Primus. And while the Dominion had a state religion in the form of the worship of the like divine dragons, and it's one that is technically a state religion within the hegemony as well, but a little like more loosely followed. There was the daily calls to prayer towards Minos on certain Dominion worlds and like draconic temples throughout the Dominion, one of the largest actually being on Vastplane, Amari's homeworld. The religion as presented by the followers of Primus is more personality focused than I think any of you are prepared for. There is a level of worship to individuals within the Empire that you were all aware of, but you don't really get a sense of who these people are until you're in the thick of it, and those are the Maguses. The Magus Imperia are presented like saints among Imperial citizens, and they are present in propaganda and like videos and advertisements, and like they are just also wrapped into the whole cultural milieu that is happening here. And first and foremost among them is a person whose face Amari, you never saw his face, but you were made aware of this person very, very quickly after the last battle on Minos, the titular shattering of the Dominion. And that is a man by the name of Marcus Crassus of Verge. He is a magus of the Canis Empire, and people talk about him like he's the second coming. His victory over the Dominion created a sort of religious fervor among the Empire of just like, our first emperor has returned in soul, if not flesh. They call him Primus Reborn. And there's something incredibly intoxicating about a religion in which your gods walk among you, in which any person, any citizen of the Empire can strive towards that sliver of divinity that is represented by a magus. Anyone could technically become a magus one day. And by doing so, you become a piece of this larger religion, this spiritual vibe that Imperial citizens are on the same wavelength about. To an outsider, it is pretty icky that it is just like a naked worship of raw etheric power in the form of somebody who widely, galaxy-wide, is considered one of the greatest weapons of mass destruction in galactic history. That is what a magus is. But the people of the Empire see them as pieces of God, if not the gods themselves, depending on who you talk to. And so you're inundated with this on top of the corporate entropy that infects Vanakel. Now, the area of the city you're currently in is less afflicted by this sort of overwhelming propaganda because you're in an area where a lot of the freeholds do businesses, and they specifically aren't necessarily sponsoring the followers of Primus as a state religion. They don't love it. In galactic history, the whole like immortal god king thing hasn't really worked out great for most people.
It's doing great over in 40K. It's doing good, real good. It's just two galaxies over, or whatever.
Mari, you would even be aware of, like, up until 5 years ago, the propaganda in the Dominion was always like, well, our god king never died, unlike the Empire.
Neener boo boo.
Na boo boo. Stick your head in doo-doo. Sorry, space doo-doo. Excuse me.
Space doo-doo.
Sorry. I want to make sure I get that right.
But yeah, now is kind of more of a time of uncertainty and like a little bit more heightened fervor, I guess, among Imperial citizens, because they're living in a time in which somebody brought down a god king. And so now we've got this guy that we're kind of propping up as the next coming of our first god king. And that person isn't currently sitting on the throne. So there's this weird tension that happens in Imperial civilization now where it's like, everyone's talking about Primus Reborn. That person is not in the Canis Royal house outside of, like, superficially.
Like, is that considered treason?
Not technically. And that's a big technicality that a lot of people are riding on.
Yeah.
Because any person who attains, like, the level of Magus becomes de facto part of House Canis, because they are a piece of Canis divinity and thus a part of the house, and they always have been once they become a Magus.
It's an
this
interesting retroactive thing.
Yeah,
you become a Magus, and you always were a Magus.
The Magus is dead. Long live the Magus.
Yeah.
I guess as long as.
And how many of them are there? There's
13.
13. I guess it depends on if this individual, who I've never heard of before, would,
Nope.
If he's going around espousing that he's the reborn, or if people are just saying it about him. You know, that one is going to piss off certain people more than me.
Oh, no. They
And
have
that's
to reject. He has to reject
He has to
the
reject it
laurels
3
3 times, and then
That reluctant.
We'll cross that Rubicon when we get to it. But at this point, that would be like something you could look into if you wanted to. I'm just mostly talking about like the tensions and like the vibe of Vanakel in this point in time.
The vibe
Now
is
that
gross.
you have time to kind of, it's not great, especially from an outsider's perspective. There are people that exist and work and live and die within this vibe, but it's from an outside perspective, like, yeah, it's not great.
Is there
How quick?
is there anywhere on Vanakel where there is like open nature?
Yes, but it's cultivated.
How cultivated?
Like the rooftops of certain mega structures have been converted into parks, and certain coastlines that are not good for building on have been left fairly untouched, but are mostly like fenced off for ecological reasons and like soil erosion reasons.
Probably at least a couple of times, maybe after the first week or so, Zin would take little day trips out to such places. Probably not the ones that are on top of buildings.
I'll say that the poles of this planet are fairly untamed because the Avia never really considered them worth habitating in.
Perfect. Anyone is welcome to join Zin on these little day trips if they want.
I was actually just about to say, if Zin makes it known where he's going, Florian will absolutely join him on some of these.
I'm sorry, where?
Don't...
You're going to the... Why?
It's untouched.
It's gross.
To each their own.
I guess. Is it?
Yeah. Amari would probably tag along as well.
Yeah,
and I shouldn't be alone, so... I don't know why I said that. Yeah, Shay.
You're not alone. You're with Oswald and Vesnes.
Mara?
Yeah, I mean...
And Mara.
Wait, I did not agree to that.
I also don't know if these happen all at the same... It's probably just like a rotating...
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, I don't think Florian's doing too hot on this planet. He's probably gets a little stir crazy after within the first few days, probably. It's just like we don't really have a lot of experience as a crew just kind of sitting in one place. Like we usually have a lot of, there's times on, that we'd be on the Storm's Repose for extended periods of time, but that there's a lot of people to talk to and, things to do. Room. Yeah, and it's not as overwhelming outside, and so I think Florian, very quickly... We're not talking like Jack from The Shining here, but, it maybe gets a little, irritable.
Zin takes Florian for walkies.
Yeah. Yeah, Florian needs walkies.
Here, besides... this barren tundra, walk across it.
Oh my god.
Besides going on a walkabout with Mr. Zin, what is Florian doing to cope with this feeling?
That's such a good question. I don't even have my plants anymore. I left them all. I can't even garden.
You can get new plants. Everything's for sale on Vanakel.
But they won't be my plants.
Yeah. God forbid you don't have any more living...
Yeah. Hey, Florian walks into a flower shop and is like, can any of these kill me? I'll take all of them. No, I don't know. That's a good question. I'll have to think about it just a little bit.
Okay. Amari.
Yes.
What... You said you were checking in with Layla about, getting... a clearer picture of what the offer to Shay would be. That could be something that could be handled almost right away.
Yeah. So, in terms of what Amari is doing over the larger span of time, I think he's kind of got his head down. There's not a lot of things that I think he thinks he can do to help in this specific situation, because there's no immediate thing that is solvable by going and confronting it head on. He has to sift through data. That takes time. Not his favorite thing to do. He can do it, and he'll definitely do it, so he'll pull long hours doing that. But also, he's not been sitting particularly great, given recent sightings of unsavory individuals in the corner of his vision. So I'm hoping he is... I'm not hoping. You're treating him like he's a friend. He would either be trying to either ignore that entirely, and then catching himself on that behavior and thinking that's probably not the best thing he should do, and would like maybe see that Zin is doing some form of meditation and sit down, kind of be cognizant of his own thoughts and what that might mean, and if it is something that isn't under his own like power, then he maybe should find somebody to talk to about that. And then other than that, he is going to town with training. In the hangar, he's got Tux fixed up as much as he can, and he is going through old like virtual combat scenarios and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. And Tux makes that really easy because there are ways while you're piloting a mech of this class to basically like shut down actual motor function, but still be tapped into the controls of the mech and basically go through training scenarios while still in the cockpit. The information you get back from Layla is basically an offer of signing on to Pride Rakasa as like a formal member of the family is the offer that Shay is getting. They would be, and this is not unusual, basically a child of you and Layla.
A ward of sorts.
A ward is a better word, yes.
Hey, do you want to be my kid, even though you're probably older than me?
I'm not older than you. We keep going over this. I'm literally only 27. I am practically still a child in my own species.
Oh, I'm only 15. It's cool. No, it's not true.
God.
Wait, I'm confused. The two of you interact too much for Shay to be Amari's children. You seem too much.
Oh, yeah. Amari, you need to be way more disapproving.
More distant.
Yeah. Amari, you see me more than my siblings. How could you?
We work together. I didn't hire you.
But effectively what this would do
Nepotism
is
at its
give
finest.
Shay official standing within the hegemony as a Pride member, and there is kind of like an official standing for wizards within a given Pride that can be afforded. It's not like diplomatic immunity necessarily, but it's definitely like you would become a representative of the Rosset hegemony and Pride Rakasa specifically. That can be rescinded and revoked, and like you can abuse that status, but it is official status that no one would be able to gainsay.
Pretty cool.
It would also mean that you would have certain responsibilities to Pride Rakasa, and Layla Rakasa would be your matriarch, and you would have to take orders from her and obey the laws of the hegemony and Pride Rakasa.
Yeah. God. Is Amari being my dad funny enough to outweigh how much I hate that?
That's the question, really.
Alternatively, just become powerful enough and, do what I did. I set my own hours, basically.
Must be nice.
Must be nice.
Mr. Zin's solution is just become really wealthy. It's that simple.
I'm not wealthy. I'm poor as...
I know. Etherically wealthy.
Yes.
Etherically pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Okay, boomer.
Etheric bootstraps.
I'm pretty sure you're already doing that.
Doing my best.
That's what the levitation does.
Yeah. Yeah, I got a lot to think about.
But yeah, that documentation could be sent over to you at a moment's notice.
Am I allowed to redline anything?
I mean, if you want, yeah.
Okay.
It's within your right.
Yeah. I was just curious. Like,
wow, you don't
like-
even want to be my dad. I can't believe
No, I was just gonna be like, we're gonna move some stuff around. You will now have no direct superior other than a single individual, rather than like
giving you some more leeway and stuff like
Yeah, I gotcha.
As of right now, House Pride Rakasa isn't big enough to have that much of a structure to it. It consists of Amari, his wife, his 2 kids, and some house retainers.
I have 3 kids.
How
dare you, Mike? Which one did you forget?
I gestalted the twins.
They're all twins. They come out in litters.
You could have 4, is all we're saying. You could have 4.
Suddenly having an astral wizard, though, would certainly make Pride Rakasa a lot more important.
Potential.
A really cool house.
Wizard. Oh, I do like having a cool house.
We can give you a literal chunk of a moon.
Might be haunted.
Might be haunted.
Those are the best houses.
Moon's haunted.
Always has been.
Yeah, not something you have to decide right now, but it is already on the table, I'll say that much. And it's something that would need to be in place if you're going to use it as leverage against certain wizards or clans. Now, could you just use the offer as leverage? Probably, but it would probably not be as
strong.
Yeah, your position wouldn't be as strong if you weren't already a part of that organization.
Yeah, they could still kidnap and brainwash me, and it would be legal. Mostly.
Mostly. Depends who you ask.
Depends who you ask. I would say it's illegal, because I don't like it.
As you begin spending time in Vanikel, I would say within the first week of y'all living on this planet, for lack of a better term, I'm assuming you're doing so just out of the Tiresian? Are you not trying to find any more like semi-permanent domiciles like a hotel or anything? You have quarters aboard your ship, but I just don't know if you want to live there or not.
I think it would be better for us to stay on the ship just in case something goes so extremely bad that we need to just go.
That's where Mara is, too. So.
That's where Mara is, and we like her.
It's true. Oswald, you are spending time diving into the... Not literally diving, capital D, but you are trolling through the information that you got from Hector Loricus.
Yes.
So many proper nouns this episode. The next item on your priorities list was figuring out kind of at what point did Mara become Mara? At what point was it not Project Chimera? At what point was there this sentient little girl? A little girl who also happens to have Hector's sister's face. It seems as though that is a fairly recent development. It started probably a little more than 2 years ago. There were just moments that Hector recorded in which, like, the program he was designing did something odd that took him by surprise, or did something impressive that he didn't think it was capable of doing. It wasn't until she began to thank him at the end of their like little test sessions that he began to put together like exactly how far she was coming and how quickly. And that was about a year and a half ago. You find video of what was called immersion test number 113, in which a seemingly fully sentient Mara is exposed to the Metafae. You don't think it's the first time, but it's definitely a very abrupt reaction to being just like dunked into the deep end of the pool, as it were. The recording ends abruptly and violently as the geometric shapes that are usually processed in the Metafae in the form of like recognizable patterns and images that people's brains interpret from the data, this kind of like shared hallucination that is the Metafae, is usually agreed upon by a gestalt subconscious and creates the forms of cities or forests or what have you. And when those shapes begin to deteriorate and spiral and fractal and break as Mara begins to have what appears to be a panic attack in the middle of the metaphase, the video cuts out and there is a attached file that records the systems aboard a large chunk of the merchant fleet of Aegis Tech Solutions apparently went berserk, and most of the fleet within the Dragon's Wake all activated their warp cores simultaneously and began to navigate towards Mara. And it was after that point that they started moving her around and exclusively using the Typhon as the operational site of Project Chimera.
Do we see any further exposure to the metaphase, or was that kind of the last one, at least today?
That is the first one that happened after her sentience emerged.
Okay.
That's why it's of note. And after that, there are bits of slower immersion therapy into that amount of data that she is slowly being introduced to. Eventually, you see that she has an interaction with an individual you don't recognize. The recording seems to be in the metaphase again, probably much further along, probably about a year ago. There's a voice that you recognize as Hector's, talking to Mara, gently talking to her, guiding her, saying that she's going to have a visitor, that someone wants to talk to her, that it's very important that you answer all of the questions this person asks truthfully. Hector, sounding like a father to this young girl, talking to her and being like if you're taking your kid to a counselor or a therapist for the first time and they don't quite understand the concept of what's being done here outside of this stranger is going to be asking you a bunch of questions and you need to engage with them, and it's important that you do, even if the child has no concept of what it is that it's being accomplished. A person eventually materializes, and you can immediately tell that this person is a fae of some kind. The way they present themselves in the metaphase is strange and distended, kind of a facsimile of personhood, with long limbs that sort of trail and sway in a breeze that isn't there. Their eyes with those strange cat-like slits that are nonetheless pixelated and square. And this fae begins asking Mara questions about herself, and she is answering to the best of her abilities. She is very demure, very kind of scared and sheepish, a lot like when you first met her. The fae is asking her basic things like, how long have you been here for? Do you know where you are? And eventually he asks, and what is your name, child? And she is silent for a long time, and eventually Hector's voice says, it's okay, you can tell him. And she says, Mara. And the fae figure asks, and why did you choose that name? Why did you choose any name? And Mara kind of stumbling over her words and kicking her feet a little bit on this non-reality plane that she finds herself in. And even now you can see the little bits and pieces, almost childlike, rudimentary in the background of the images that you would recognize as her garden as she has set it up in the systems of the Tiresian. You see the rudimentary children's drawing that would eventually become the grand canvas that she painted inside your ship. Blocky Minecraft-esque topography and the rough drawing of a willow tree and little blobs of color that are supposed to be flowers on the ground. And when the figure asks why Mara chose that name, she says because she thought it sounded pretty. And the fae creature will walk around Mara as though inspecting her. And then Hector Loricus's voice will come into the space again, and he seems to be hesitant. His voice is full of kind of a tremulous aspect, and he will say, "Execute Lifebane Protocol," and the Mara you see in front of you changes abruptly. She doesn't change shape or size. She doesn't change in physical aspect, but her eyes suddenly flare with a bright purple light. Suddenly she has this long, reaping sword in her hand, and suddenly she is flying at this fey creature who is screaming and saying, "This isn't the deal we made," and shouting at Hector Loricus, but then that creature is dead, and you see him breaking apart into these little digital flakes that are drawn into Mara. She breathes in this fey creature that she just killed. She lets out a sigh, and the sword, the reaping blade in her hand, vanishes. She blinks and looks around, but she's got this bright smile on her face. And she says, "Good morning, Hector. When do we begin?" And Hector, his voice still shaking slightly, says, "Soon, Mara. We'll start soon." Don't know what to make of this last recording, but apparently it marked a march towards Hector's decision to betray Aegis Tech Solutions. He had some sense of what Mara was going to be used for after this point, and she, importantly, doesn't. So to answer your questions about when Mara has become self-aware, the answer may be that she still isn't. Not totally.
Is Mara aware of us watching this information, or how?
Yeah, sorry.
You've kept the data pads that all of this stuff is being viewed on isolated from the rest of the ship system, so she is been told that you're going to be reviewing this, so she's respecting your privacy, as far as you know.
I need to this and maybe narrow off this a bit. Yeah, I will tell everyone I can in a way that does not let.
I mean, you have a couple of options where that's concerned. Obviously, you could just leave the ship.
Yeah.
Or use the shielded room.
Oh, that's true.
True.
Let's go with that. Right, everyone.
Now, are you telling everybody, including Mr. Zinn, or just the crew of the Teresian?
Who's all here? Mr. Zinn, are you here? No.
Again, the time frame on this isn't precise, so you can have whoever you want here.
I think that we should all convene in the shielded room, shall we? Let's go. Come on.
I guess my question to you is, are you including Mr. Zinn
Yes.
and Vesnus?
I will Vesnus. Is there any way I can do that without her taking me personally? Just when she's just not
Depends
here?
if she finds out about it after the fact.
Yeah. I mean, I think as soon as I find out about this information, I go out and I ask everybody, and if Vesnus is there, then Vesnus is there, but this needs to be relayed immediately, because this is very important.
Roll me a d12.
Okay. D12.
The pipes.
On a 7 or higher, Vesnus is around and just joins in.
That's a 9.
Okay, Vesnus is there and she joins in.
Okay. Right. Now that we're all convened in this cramped space, I was going through the information and I found something. Well, I suppose I could just show it, and I do so.
So you all see the Lifebane Protocol activation sequence.
Here's this may be what we feared.
Mr. Zinn, you would have enough wherewithal to know that the creature being destroyed in this video is probably, is not a, member of any of the high courts or the ladies' courts or, a high she of any kind, but, definitely a fey creature. And there are plenty of those that, while exist within the court, aren't necessarily, high court members.
I would relay as much. It would have caused too much of a stir to destroy a member of one of the courts.
Especially if you want to keep it on the down.
Yeah, if this is just a testing phase.
But it makes me worried that the Mara that we know is not the...
Oh, I think they are. They're all the real Mara, just parts.
It's not
And
easy.
how long ago do you think that this recording happened?
About a year ago, Mike? You said a year and a half?
A year in our time is a very, very, very long time for a digital being. It could be that Mira has grown, possibly become aware of this facet of herself, or could still be unaware.
I do know that Nara is able to accomplish great things, tremendous things, but I will say, coming to terms with a side of your personality that is so easy, ready to kill like that is not something just anyone can do. I know that she is sensitive to these I've seen footage of her reacting negatively to too much information, having something similar to what we would call moments of panic.
I think the not more important part, of course, but maybe more pertinent part is, so now we know she has these protocols within her system. Don't you think she ought to know about them so we can figure out a way to circumvent them? I mean, it didn't look like she was in control.
I would tend to agree with Florian. I think that, obviously, you said that in times of great stress, Mira can react poorly, but we know, or can at least prepare for that by telling her that there might be a moment of great stress coming up, or asking her to isolate herself somewhat in the systems for safety's sake.
As long as there's a way for us to be there as well.
I don't mean complete isolation,
Right.
but
Just so she doesn't bring down, this entire section of the city.
yeah, or engage the Tiresians' warp core.
Be bad.
Yeah, I don't think you'd be able to make it to your father's birthday party. Drink release.
Well,
It is...
Amari, Shay, do you have reactions to this?
I mean,
I can't really show my hand on that one.
So we treat Mara like a child, like one of our own and everything, and are teaching them like a person. But we have no knowing of whether or not she has the capability of like finding these protocols or any of that stuff. How do these get triggered, right? If we asked her to like review some of these things, does that then trigger it? There's this a massive what could happen here? And I guess Amari's trying to figure out what the safest way of going about doing this is.
Does Amari have any training deprogramming sleeper cells?
No.
do you have any experience you'd like to spend into...
I have... how much experience do I have? Let's find out real quick. Let me just take a look-see real quick. Not that much. It's a lot. It's not that much, though. It's 41.
It's pretty good.
You should spend some of that, Reed.
Okay, so here's the thing. I don't have the ability to edit my PDFs because Adobe's a fucking troll.
Yeah.
So I have to go to a website to do it, right? And then I have to download it and do all that shit. And every time we play, I'm like, I should do this. And then I forget because it's been a month since we played.
Need a character sheet. Just print it out!
No.
Bastard.
Elliot,
We have technology for a reason, and I am beholden to it.
Elliot, why haven't you made it a fillable PDF yet?
Yeah,
Because
mine
I
is a
actually
fillable
have
PDF.
a lot of design changes that I have to make, and I moved, and I have depression.
How dare you?
The gall.
What we're getting at is we all have excuses. This is why I'm the GM. I don't have to worry about this stuff. Yeah.
It's very much getting to the end of a Final Fantasy RPG with like 99 Phoenix Downs, 99 Tents, 99.
Yeah, my XP is my ethers.
Yeah.
What am I doing with all these ethers?
Yeah.
I gotta say, Tears of the Kingdom, I have a lot of gemstones I need to trade in for money. I just don't need to.
126 bokoblin horns? What am I doing with all these?
Listen, that's pretty close to the actual number. I'm not gonna lie. They're good for upgrading armor.
At first. Oh. So, Shay, you're trying not to react to this at all, then?
I feel like that's more suspicious.
So that's why I'm asking.
So Mr. Zinn has quite a bit in emotional etherics. In fact, I think the most you can have in emotional etherics.
Uh-huh.
And while that's not quite mind reading, that is
helps.
Good at vibe checking.
Pretty dang close. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, Shay, do you already know all this?
No, but it's not that I know anything. It's just that hearing about all of this, like, Shay is literally, like, it's like you're trying to think of anything else, so you can't stop thinking about the thing you're trying to not think about. Fucking bye-bye man logic over here. Is like, can't stop replaying the Court of Errors missing a lady part of their conversation with Ariel, even though it's cannot confirm that that's true, that I can believe that. They're just so goddamn charismatic.
So, what is while the exact wording of the thought is not expressed, it is not something that Mr. Zinn can actively read, what is the emotion boiling off of Shay in this moment?
Definitely, like, there is the anxiety that manifests with, like, feeling like there's a pit in your stomach, and the attempting to mask that with, like, probably some form of meditation, which is probably why part of why he can pick up on it.
That's the old standing at the edge of the void and tossing a carpet over it to cover it up.
That it is
Classic.
Also, like, that is such a good little, like, insight into Shay's brain and thought processing is like, oh yeah, meditation. You use this to, like, cover up and suppress emotions when it's like, that's
right?
not what that's
you use
for.
That's for compartmentalizing, right?
Oh, yes.
As a soldier, yes, that's exactly what you do.
Yes.
Yeah. Don't think about it.
I hate everyone in this party. Mr. Zinn, we're cool.
It's like a normal thing we teach people in real life. That's great. Good way to deal with shit.
Yeah.
So,
I accidentally made a character that's me again. Fuck.
Oops.
every time.
Every fucking time.
Oops, all Elliot.
Oops, all Elliot. It's Elliot's all the way down.
I will give you the option then. Do you want, in this moment, are you trying to PvP make it so Mr. Zinn can't read you, in which case we're going to have a roll-off?
It's a roll-off.
Or are you...
It's a roll.
It's a roll-off?
They on the pumpkin patch on Save's Island.
I'm going to leave this up to Elliot, though. Like, is this information that you want to try to fight getting out with a roll? Because, yeah, Mr. Zinn's just, like, baseline level of being able to read people is really good.
Yeah. See, that's the thing, is that I don't even have anything I could use to combat it.
That's not true at all. So these great little 12-sided die that are just so delicious.
How much Aether do you have just kicking around on your person?
Can we say at this point that I have taken time to meditate and recharge my Aether? Oh, no, wait, there's a rule for that. There's a new rule for that, though. It's rolling. I just haven't done it in a while.
Correct. Yeah.
It's just rolling a d6, yeah. Let's see how many I have. I don't It's been so long since I've looked at the rules. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I am in the same spot, so it's fine. We're gonna just use our good old friend search and replace.
Yay.
Welcome to material components.
Wizard.
Where the rules we made up and XP don't matter.
And the oh god.
Only doesn't matter to read.
Yeah.
Don't need it. Too
I
cool.
also have like 32. I need to get I need to up some stuff.
I've been
but
saving
you
mine
spend-
for
The rules as I have written now is your Aether Pool does not refill during downtime unless you spend 3 XP.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I'll fucking do that.
Okay.
Now I have 29.
Not anymore.
No, now
that
I
for
have
everyone?
29.
Oh, okay.
Just
no,
wizards.
everyone else just gets their Aether
okay.
Pool back between missions.
Yeah.
Good. I'm
Wizards
being-
don't.
I've grown really attached to all 41 of my XP children.
Well, could you change it even if you didn't?
Nope.
Oh, this eraser sucks. Okay.
Reed,
29.
if you picked up a certain feature, you could refill anytime, even during
Anytime
missions.
you wanted.
It's not worth it.
She already has that feature.
Yeah.
I do. I just haven't been using it because I don't want to turn into a big beastie.
Like a responsible adult.
So my Aether Pool, my standard Aether Pool is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Are you going to try to make it so Mr. Zinn can't read you?
I'm gonna do my best.
Okay, so this is happening. Mr. Zinn, then I guess the question becomes, you feel an etheric masking of emotion from Shay. Are you going to attempt to pierce it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, it's a roll.
Excellent. Oh, so good.
Oh, you're hiding.
Put a
under-
cork in it, Zane!
No. And I've got my handy dandy Aethium lined jacket on, so I'm gonna pull a couple of Aether out of
Damn, I
that.
need one of those.
Yeah. Yeah, they're super useful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
see,
I'm pulling-
this is what I meant when I said I don't have anything to fight against this.
You have Aether dice and nothing else.
Much. Unless I'm gonna use throwing hands. I'm just gonna beat him up. Stop trying to read me.
Just turns and looks at you and just smack across the face.
My hand pops off.
So I'm pulling 3 Aether from my coat. I've got a D8 in Swiftly, a D12 in Perception, and a D12 in Sense Emotion.
All seem very applicable.
Man, I need a performance skill.
And what does Shay have to try to mask all of this?
Well, I have a D6 in carefully. Quietly also, could I make an argument for quietly? Trying to be unobtrusive?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a D8.
Etherically quiet.
Emotionally quiet.
Emotionally quiet. And let's see. What's
I'm thinking
trying to
covert ops or
yeah, that's true. I do have a D6 in covert ops. Okay, yeah.
and how much Aether are each of you pumping into this?
Oh, I already said I'm just using the 3 from my jacket. I'm not using any of my personal Aether. That's too precious.
Okay.
Are you using all the Aether in your jacket?
Oh, you don't want to try and wrest the Aether away from me. I specifically also have a D12 in Control Aether.
Beans. So we'd be doing 2 rolls. We'd do the wizard
Yes.
battle first over the Aether. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, damn it. It becomes a protocol stack at this point. Okay, which one goes off first?
God. Wizards are the worst.
First in, last out.
Oh, God. Okay, and because we're in the fucking lead-lined room, I don't have access to any Aether. Although, Florian, where's your Aethium blade?
I thought that was shielded.
It's in a sheath.
Sheathed. So, yeah, as to not... It's a lead-lined sheath as to not give people cancer.
I don't have it. I also don't have it just in... I don't just have it on.
Okay, I just was wondering.
Gave it to Vesnas for safekeeping.
God.
No.
Listen, I don't carry the suicide knife around with me.
Okay, so I am working with 5d6 and 1d8. I'm putting 4 of my own Aether in.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Beans. What's the danger gauge at right now?
The danger gauge is currently at 4.
Oh, nice. So I get
We
a
are
grip of
in
XP,
low
because I
danger.
will be failing this.
Zin is our new XP farm.
Yeah.
As we've said in the past, PvP roles specifically do not garner you XP for this exact reason.
Yes.
This game's rigged.
Otherwise, we'd be here all night, and you'd all just be going back and
I
forth.
thought the Zin was a function of the environment.
Unfortunately, Zin is Shay's environment.
I feel like Zin is we can make rolls against Zin when Cole, you are not actively in the
Oh,
Yeah.
got it. Yeah, fair enough.
Okay, so I got a 19.
That does not beat my 21.
Unless...
We've gone down this road
We
before.
have gone down this road before, and it didn't end well for me.
And that's how we suddenly end up with the danger gauge at 12.
There are currently 8 void dice in my void pool, so there are 5 available.
God, he has so many.
just spend all 5 so that Cole can't spend them.
It's just like the one shot where between
God.
Olivia and I was like, how dare you?
I mean, listen. It was going to come out at some point, so we'll just sort of see if we can get me to... I don't know. Yeah, I would like to... I think that this is narratively interesting.
Okay. So Mr. Zin gets a read on Shay.
Just barely.
And Mr. Zin doesn't say anything. Right now.
Yeah.
For now.
Yeah.
After you disperse from this meeting, with the knowledge that Mara is perhaps more dangerous than...
Oh, I actually, to the end of your sentence, with we have this new gained knowledge that Mara is perhaps more dangerous to herself and others than we know. I just want to slip in because I didn't. You'd asked me earlier what Florian does, and I had been thinking about it, and then this whole thing came up, and I was like, oh, this makes what I came up with sad now. Which is, I think that Florian has spent time mapping out the general vicinity of our area, and I think because he's just goes away for I gotta get out of here for 3 hours, doesn't have anyone to talk to, so I think he's just been chatting with Mira as they both kind of explore the city in different ways, and I think this goes on. This is going on around this specific conversation, so I think it continues afterwards, but it also has been he does it, so a couple hours every day they just go explore the city, her on a aether level and him like physically in the world.
And the scenes that play out are Florian traversing through the streets of this metropolis, the varied layers of Wreath, and in the background of these shots, in certain subtle ways and some not so subtle ways, you see a small sun-dressed figure dancing through etheric displays in stores in the background, or appearing as the walk sign at crosswalks, or just like moving across etherically enhanced glass windows, and you'll just like see the reflection of a person on the street that isn't actually on the street, and it's Mara.
What color's the dress, Mike?
Blue.
Okay.
It changes colors, but for most of the time it appears blue. Her hair is like also like a kaleidoscopic rainbow of colors that changes, kind of has a pearlescent quality to it. But yeah, she is overjoyed to spend time with Florian and have conversations about the world and things going on in it. As she is walking with you in one of these instances, walking with you in air quotes, there will be a moment where you stop and look into a window of a kind of bodega shop that's a Vorpal Mart, V-Mart, if you will. It's one that you're familiar with, and it's also one where you had kind of a bad experience with the like non-congenial nature of the corporate civilization here. But Mara will be a presence in the reflection near you as you're talking onto your like little wrist-mounted data pad to her, and you can only really hear her through like whatever earpiece you're wearing. But you can see her face speaking as the reflection in the window is talking next to you. But the sound is only in your ear. And she will say to Florian, "I understand that the information you gained from Hector's personal computer is of a possibly troubling nature, and that this is the reason why you are reviewing it before I am allowed to parse it. If I had gained information of a similar aspect, I am rather conflicted, Florian."
How audio listeners can't see this, but Florian does in fact have to put his finger up to his ear like an old person on a Bluetooth speaker whenever he talks. How do you mean of a similar aspect?
If I had come into possession of information that could be possibly traumatic to someone if they were exposed to it, I do not feel myself capable of reviewing it properly before dispensing such information.
Yeah, I think that's why the lot of us are sort of doing it as a team. I don't think anyone, any single being is probably going to have the exact right answer. So many different variables on how a person might react to any given information on any given day. Is this a hypothetical?
Oh no. I have gained quite a bit of information regarding Oswald's father, and I am troubled at his reaction should I share it with him immediately.
Oh boy. I think, and again, no one's perfect, and certainly not myself. I'm not always going to be the be all end all answer. It's why we have the, what would Amari, Shay, Oswald, Florian protocol, so you can run it by all of us first. But I think as long as you come from a place of wanting to be careful and wanting to care about his feelings, I think he's gonna sense that. And this is true of you too. I think at the end of the day, this information is gonna get to both of you no matter what. And I think sometimes it's not about delivering it in the exact perfect way so that someone doesn't have a negative reaction. I think it's about being there and being willing and around to maybe help pick up the pieces afterwards.
I see.
It's not...
I have very few protocols where emotional support are concerned.
That's fair. If it makes you feel better, neither does, Amari or, and any of us, really. You're not, it's not inhumanoid of you, insentient of you. God, it's really hard to come up with.
God, our language is so human focused.
Inhumane.
It's not, I think, even if you were in a physical, sentient body, you'd probably still be grappling with this exact same question. So don't be too hard on yourself. I mean, it's why it's taken us a while to help out with this Hector Laracus stuff. Which, again, I assure you, we're not trying to keep anything from you.
I understand. You're dealing with the roots of my creation. Such aspects are troubling for any sapient being, I am beginning to comprehend.
It tends to be, yeah.
And when I say it is of a similar nature with Oswald, that perhaps does not underline the precise similarities. But I will take your advice, Florian. I will be there for Oswald when I share this information with him. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Florian, never mind.
Oswald.
Yes?
It's been a little over a week since you asked Mara for help. It's been a little under 2 days since you saw the Lifebane Protocol video. Eventually, you are going about your daily business when Mara contacts you with a MetaNet link.
Right. I sort of look around. I'm imagining I'm working whatever public space where we are sifting through information on the ship. But even with no context, I think I know what this means. So I'll go back to my room.
The link is accompanied by a simple text message. Mara is not trying to talk to you directly when she sends this information. So she just sends you a line of text and this link to some sort of site on the MetaNet. The line of text reads, "Context is important. You may wish to research this topic." And the link she sends you is a site dedicated to research about cloning. And I think it is there that we're going to leave this episode of Material Components and find out exactly what that context means next time.
Because as always, you can find us online as part of the Punch Up Entertainment Network over at youtube.com/@punchupentertainment. There you can find all of our episodes as well as my Star Wars comic book show, May the Panel Be With You. There are also tons of other shows on the network, like Campbell and Jones Meet the Monsters, the IP Squad, and our monthly dives into current pop culture with Panel Up and Punch Up Goes to the Movies. Of course, the best way to support everything we do is to go to our Patreon page over at patreon.podbean.com/punchup. There, supporters can unlock even more bonus episodes of all of these shows, as well as a backlog of our Matcom one-shots. Thank you all so much for listening, and remember, the world is chaos, so please, be kind to each other.